So just last week, I recorded my top 10 all-time favorite horror comics video. And I knew there'd be some adjustments one day throughout the history of this channel, but I might already have one that I need to plug in there. I don't know. But stay tuned because this comic is amazing, beautiful. I can't wait to show it off to you. Today we're talking Frankenstein. Stay tuned and watch this video until the end. And we're back. My name is Taylor. This is Taylor Talks Comics. Appreciate you being here. I have been doing 31 days of horror comics all throughout October. If you've missed out on any of that, I have a handy dandy playlist for you. Go to my playlist tab on my channel. It's called Halloween Horrors 2024. You can catch up on all the horror comics I've shown off so far. And please subscribe so you don't miss any of my future content. But today we're talking about the Mary Shelley Frankenstein by George Bess. This is put out by Magnetic Press. It's an incredible publisher. It's been really putting out a lot of these European comics, and the absolute magnificent production work they did on this book is mind-blowing. I wasn't even quite sure. I knew it looked beautiful based on the pictures of the hardcover and stuff, but actually reading it, the full reading experience of this book, it blew me away. I'm going to talk about that in a second because it's really a kind of a unique way of presenting comics that we haven't seen in such an affordable format. But I digress. I want to show off the cover here. Now, it does have a silver foil. You can see it's kind of, the glare is kind of ruining the title there, but oh, there we go. We can see it now. It's like silver. You got a great image of Frankenstein there with all this great design work around it. And these etchings. And then you see great spine here, and the Frankenstein is also shiny on that part too. It's a silver foil finish. There's a Magnetic Press logo. And on the back, you still have that silver foil finish with another image by George Bess. This is only $34.99 cover price. Very affordable, like I said. And it also has the signature Magnetic Press rounded edges on the hardcover, which is really cool. So far we've seen, we've gotten George Bess release Frankenstein by Magnetic Press. They've done Dracula. And then they just kickstarted recently Hunchback of Notre Dame, which will be released in 2025. I think the Kickstarter even had like a cool slipcase for it and whatnot. Now, when I bought this, I fully bought this with the intention of reviewing it for my Halloween Horrors video, or series of videos. I wanted to get Dracula, but the shop I ordered it from didn't have that in stock. So I'm still kind of hunting that down, especially after reading this. I desperately kind of want Dracula, and I'll definitely be picking up Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, George Bess, I know him from his work with Alejandro Jodorowsky, which I'm a huge fan of Jodorowsky's writing. He's the writer on Incal and Metabarons and things. But he's done some work with George Bess. And I've shown off on my channel, I have a video called all of my Alejandro Jodorowsky comics or books or something like that. I'll try to link it above. And it has some of George Bess' work in there. Now, I always knew he was good. Like, I was like, oh yeah, he's great. Every artist that Jodorowsky works with is great. But this was a different experience, and this was really mind-blowing. So this is a adaptation of the Mary Shelley Frankenstein, I should say, because it's not like the Universal Monsters Frankenstein, who took some liberties. Universal Studios took some liberties and changed some parts of the story. This is more in tune with the Mary Shelley story. As far as an adaptation, I read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in high school. That was like 20 years ago. Yes, I'm getting old, but I can't tell you how faithful the adaptation it is. It's been so long since I've read the original story, but what I can say is this is a damn good comic, and you should definitely buy this. Just the artwork alone is mind-blowing. So this, the translation was by Ivanka Heyenberger, editing by Mike Kennedy, production and lettering by Chris Northrop. Owner of production includes design then. But you get chapter breaks between each chapter. I think there's like 15 chapters throughout. I don't know how this was originally collected, if this was serialized in some sort of magazine or whatnot, like a lot of European comics are, or if this is like the original way it was released in Europe and here. Now, as I'm going through this, and as I was reading it at first, I was like wondering, because if it was like a production thing or what, but this is actually done like an artist edition. And that is like the coolest presentation. Like I said, the most most affordable way to get an artist edition. It's not done true to size. I imagine that George's Bess original pages were much larger than this because of all the detail work he did. So I do think they're shrunken down, but it's still scans of his original art pieces. Now, I have seen, I think on the Kickstarter they released, like, look at this amazing artwork. Just mind-blowing. On the Kickstarter, I did see they had images where they showed comparisons of how it was released in Europe versus the original art scans and why they'd made that decision. And I'm so glad they made that decision, because in the touch-ups and things with the original release, they like kind of like blow out some of the background and have like some like fake digital zipatone added to it, and it really takes away from the purity of his amazing craft in this artwork. Like, this is just pencils on this page, but I'm trying to see if I find examples of where you can see how it's the original art scans, because he seems to be like such a good artist, where you see some artist editions, you can see where they're touching it up with blue lines and things pretty obviously. But George Bess on these, it's not so obvious. And yeah, as I keep flipping through, I'll try to find some examples. But so at first you get Dr. Frankenstein, who's trying to find a way to reanimate a corpse. He has his assistant, just like in all other, you know, ways of telling the same story. Like, look at this tech in the background here. Like, it's just absolutely brilliant artwork. Now, you think of, like, the pinnacle of Frankenstein artwork is definitely, like, the Bernie Wrightson stuff, right? Like, there's no other better Frankenstein art that we've ever seen besides the Bernie Wrightson stuff. So, I imagine there's probably a lot of pressure on you, because I got to think that George Bess is familiar with the Bernie Wrightson stuff. The pressure to follow that act up is immense. But George Bess absolutely blew me away with his artwork, and it didn't. I'm not here to say whether it's better than Bernie Wrightson's or whatever. I'm not comparing the two. I'm here to say this is amazing artwork for the story. Definitely holds up with all other adaptations of it. Now, I don't know if you can make that out, but you can see some of the pencil lines throughout, outside of the ink lines. And that's where you get some of that artist edition, like ephemera, that you would not get when it's scanned and touched up. You can see too right here, see some of the pencil lines on that lightning bolt, and some of the effects right here, where it looks like you probably used whiteout for that. It's probably like, this is probably black and he whited it out, and it looks like that would have been touched up in the aftermath, like that little smudge there. But I love this as an artist edition. Like, this is amazing. I feel like they could have actually called it an artist edition or something to that effect, because I don't think, besides listing it off in the Kickstarter that way, I don't think people buying this would know that that's what they're getting their hands on. Like, this is a great example, actually. So hopefully this is showing up on camera. But you can see on here all of the whiteout and techniques, and you can even see some smudges and things where he drew this with all the cross-hatching and inking, and then he went over the top with the hair with some whiteout or some other techniques or paints or things. So that's one of the great images where you can kind of see that. Again, I don't know if it's showing up on camera or not, but when you're reading through this, if you are familiar with artist editions, you'll know. So anyways, Dr. Frankenstein's trying to reanimate a corpse to, like, you know, improve science and do this great thing. He creates the monster out of because he knew that all the techniques he was using, he needed a larger corpse. So he found the corpse of a old circus act, like a circus giant of sorts, and he reanimated it. The monster went crazy, and Dr. Frankenstein fled. He ran away. So up to this point of the story, we're getting all the narration, mostly in caption boxes, but I have to say the story flows so beautifully. Like, this looks like a dense story by way of the lettering and the dialogue and also the artwork. But I have to tell you, this flowed so perfectly. It was smooth. I read this all basically in one sitting. I think I had to go and do something in between, but basically maybe 2 sittings, okay? But it flowed so wonderfully, I couldn't put it down. And I like the storytelling, where it's like most of the caption boxes and narration boxes from Dr. Frankenstein, kind of in his journals and things. You do get some, like, vocal dialogue between other characters at times. Now, when you get to chapter 5, Born of Lightning, we're getting the same similar storytelling, but from the monster's perspective. And because the monster is now alone in the world. He has no idea what's going on. He has no idea who he is or how he was created. He has no idea what anything's going on, but he does have a brain and he's trying to figure things out. So in here, you see all these humans beating him to death because they think he's a monster. And you just see like his path to survival and how he's going to try to make do with not knowing his whole background of things. You can see that there's some like watercolor techniques on those trees in the background there. How he's encountering different animals. Like this is just a brilliant piece right here. Like this is really one of the best art pieces, drawn art that I've read in a comic all year. Like it's just incredible, mind-blowing stuff. And I can't wait to get my hands on Dracula and the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't know what George Bess has in store for us in the future, but I hope that it's more of this kind of stuff, these stories, these adaptations. So he encounters some families. He finally found the refuge. He finally found a family that he can kind of hide in secret and learn from. As like one of the kids is learning in class, Frankenstein's kind of peering through these wooden boards and learning as well. So he becomes an intelligent monster where he can read and write and start to come up with his own conceptions of what the world is and who really are the monsters in the world. And then by the end of the story, he re-encounters Dr. Frankenstein, and Dr. Frankenstein is blown away because he's trying to figure out how this monster is so intelligent now, and how he's survived up to this point. And when they encounter each other, there is kind of a standoff, a standoff between the two of them. Of one of them's trying to curse the other one, and there's a lot of great commentary throughout this, because one of the things that I love about the Frankenstein story in general is the social commentary of, it's like the old adage from like Jurassic Park, like just because we can doesn't mean we should, kind of thing. And and I was waiting for that to come up in this comic, and it does in a big way in the third act. That kind of commentary of just because we can, should we? And also Frankenstein, the monster, you're seeing him as like a hero at some point because you're feeling sympathetic towards him. But does he murder people? And is that wrong for him to murder people even though he's being attacked, kind of thing? And then between him and Dr. Frankenstein, who is the evil one? Who is the bad guy? That's all kind of the whole story throughout this as well. So I cannot recommend this enough. It does come with a nice book ribbon too, I should say, as far as the book design goes. Really one of the best drawn horror comics I've ever read. If I were to redo my top 10 list now that I've read this would probably find a way on there. Maybe I'll update that list next year. I don't know. But I cannot recommend this enough. I think it's my highest recommendation. Magnetic Press did a magnificent job with the publishing of this and the reprinting of it. I love that they chose to use the original art scans in this. It's just a cool, unique way to present comics. One that I hope that maybe other publishers do in the future. But George Bess, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, cannot recommend enough. Thank you guys for watching. Please hit the like button and comment down below with your thoughts. Let me know what your favorite Frankenstein comic book is. I'd like to hear those too, because I did a the Tale of Two Origins for Dracula earlier this month, where I took two different origin stories of Dracula within comics. I could do the same thing with Frankenstein because there's been so many different types of Frankenstein comics. Let me know what your favorite ones are though, and maybe I'll have that on my radar for a future video. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'm on the road to 3,000 subscribers and I need your help. I'm trying to get there by the end of this year. That's my goal. And go back and watch all of my other horror comics I've shown off this month. Thank you guys so much. Keep talking comics.